Wait a minute. Oh, hello. Okay, we're ready to create step number 4, or create the code for step number 4. Let's go ahead and copy the code from our main project, or the the pseudocode and the instructions. Let's copy that into a new code cell down at the bottom of our sandbox file. And just looking at the sandbox, at this point you should have already completed steps 1, and then you've called the function and created deck and rank from step 1. You've got step 2, where we've created both the player hand and computer hand. Step 3, where we created the global variables computer pile, player pile, and center pile, and then we've played a turn, so we've tested that, and now we're on step number 4. Okay, step number 4 says to create a function to reset the hands called reset hand. If either the player or the computer hand is empty, their pile is moved to their hand. Their hand is then shuffled. The function will interact with global variables, player hand, player pile, computer hand, and computer pile. The function takes one argument, which is the player whose hand needs resetting, and it will return nothing. Okay, so let's go ahead and define our function using the def keyword. The name of the function is reset hand, and it takes one argument, which is the string that represents which player needs to have their hand reset. So I'm just going to call that who. W-H-O, who. Okay. Let's go ahead and declare our global variables using the global keyword, global, and I'm just going to copy those variables here because we're going to manipulate all of these global variables in this function. Okay. And then down below it says use an if-else structure to determine which hand to reset. Move the cards from the appropriate pile to the appropriate hand. Remember to clear the pile you are moving cards from and shuffle the new hand you created. Okay, so we're going to use an if-else. So let's start with if who is equal to player. That means we'll have to reset the player's hand. So if who double equals string player colon, then we'll need to do a few things. Let's take the cards that are in the player pile and move them to the player hand using the extend method. So player hand dot extend player pile. Okay, so we're moving all the cards from player pile to player hand using the extend method. And then let's clear the player pile. So player pile dot clear. And then it says to make sure that we shuffle the hand. So we're going to shuffle player hand. And by the way, if you haven't already, make sure that you've imported in your sandbox, import shuffle from random. And you can do that just at up top. You can add a code cell that just says from random import shuffle. Okay. Okay, so that handles if the player is the winner. And since there's only two possibilities, either this function gets called with player or computer, so we can just use a simple else here, because if it's not player, it has to be computer. So we'll call this else, and now we're going to be extending the computer hand, right? So computer hand dot extend, and we're extending from computer pile. So very important, make sure that both of these are from the computer's piles, okay? Computer pile and computer hand. And then we're going to clear computer pile and then shuffle computer hand. Okay, so we've created a function. It takes one argument and then manipulates global variables and returns nothing. So let's go ahead and run this, make sure we don't get any errors. Okay, and let's try just calling the function once just to see if we can call it without error. So reset hand, and let's pass player and run that. Okay, so it seems to have run without error, so that's good. Let's go ahead now and copy that code, step 4, back over into our main project. So I'm copying that and then just overwriting the code section of step 4, and make sure you save both files. Okay, that does it for step 4. Now we're moving on to the last step to create the main game code, and that'll be in the next video.